This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie.
Very welcome back to the Maroon and White Pod. I'm actually running solo today. I'm missing my sidekick, Harky, and delighted to be joined again by Anna Geary. Anna needs no introduction, and we're just on today to talk a quick chat about the U23 Championship and just a quick word or two about the senior semi-finals. So Anna, thanks a million for coming on. I know you're racing from work, no more than myself. I'm at pool camps all week. And I know Ronan is in bed, so you need to get this done fairly rapid. How are you keeping?
I'm not too bad. I don't know if I'm coping with the heat very well. I will say now the U23 All-Ireland Final tomorrow. Tomorrow's due to be the hottest day of this heat wave. It's due to go up well into the high 20s. I really hope those girls are taking on the electrolytes, the watermelon and the water and everything that they can today, because it's no good tomorrow. Like, they are going to have a tough task. Anybody, you know that yourself down to the years. We mostly played in rain, but on the odd day you did play in sunshine. It can take on a life of its own. Players that wouldn't normally be to the forefront suddenly will become the stars because they'll have the extra fitness levels, they'll have prepared accordingly, they'll be well hydrated. I remember Niall McCarthy, the former Cork hurler, saying years ago that he was always really fascinated on his prep. And when he did research into how important hydration was, it was, if you aren't hydrated, the max that you can get out of yourself in terms of performance is 70%.
Well, yeah.
You could never, 70% is nowhere close to 100. So, I really hope that that's been taken into consideration this week for those girls that, that are anyone playing matches, that they've laid off training, that they haven't been sweating too much or doing anything too heavy, because it is draining out there. You'd be wrecked even in the warm-up, not mind after 65 minutes. So, yeah.
Would you believe, Anna, last week I was... I ended up on a drip myself for dehydration, and I wouldn't be, because I'm constantly on the go myself. And that wasn't, we had training and whatnot, and ended up, needing to go on a drip from dehydration. So it's so important. And you're right, you can only work up to 70%. So imagine another 30% out of someone, what will it do?
So some of those girls that will be there now, tomorrow, the girls that have prepped all week, that have factored in the heat, have stayed out of the sun, haven't been looking to get a suntan, haven't been going to the beach, all of that stuff. It's so important, and especially in the next 12 hours, to make sure that they do whatever they need to, because an All-Ireland Final is such a big day. Huge. There'll be nerves, and there'll be things that will go wrong on the day. There'll be players that won't perform because the nerves get the better of them. But you just don't want the pressure and the stress of kind of the body being fatigued to be. So the Barocca boots in the bag and all those things in the mornings to be doing what they can.
Or whatever they can get in.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll be important.
I presume, Anna, at this stage, with the Under-23 Championship, the girls have been kind of told all this. It has been, it's incredibly hot these last few days as well. And like you said, the preparation is key now, that someone isn't out getting sunburned today at the bottom of their feet or something like that. And it can happen. I remember years ago, I don't know, in some hurling final, didn't some lad burn the bottom of his feet? So it's incredibly important that both teams would stay in. I'm sure they're told that now.
And some players, they could be doing camps and stuff as well at the moment, Lynskey. So even they'll have to kind of factor that in as well. And it's very hard. It's very hard when it's your job and you have to be outside to go, well, I can't come to work because I have a match tomorrow. So hopefully that the majority of them will feel rested and that it'll be a great game of camogie. I suppose.
I know. Well, it's a first, isn't it?
So thrilling. Well, we've had two thrilling, I suppose, even in fairness to give Clare credit in the first quarter final. They put on a great show against Waterford. Now, I know Waterford pulled away in the second half, but if I had a team coming to Croke Park that were, to be honest, underdogs to the hilt, how they performed is how I'd want my team to perform. They went at Waterford from the get-go. They challenged them. They put them under pressure. They attacked directly down the middle. And I suppose really Waterford, in fairness, on the other side of it, then the resilience and the calmness that they showed and the composure to kind of, get themselves together in the second half. It was brilliant. And then obviously the second quarter final being the same, it was a thrilling game. I was in Croke Park for it. Oh my God, it was just... the tackles, the scores. My husband was watching it at home and he was like, oh my God, the intensity of the game, some of the scores, the goals, Clodagh McIntyre's goal one of the best goals I've seen in Croke Park.
Yeah, it
like
was class.
hurling or camogie. Like
I think she's actually a niece of John McIntyre, who reports here for the Connacht Tribune. Actually, that's who he is. But
there you go.
Up until that, actually, Anna, I felt that game was a little bit. There was a bit more of a lull in that game until kind of the extra time. But then it really injected, and it was a classic game. Then towards the end of it, but yeah they'll be happy enough to come out.
Well, I think Kilkenny will. They started. Kilkenny started so strong in that match because, again, I think a lot of the talk coming into it had been about Tipperary, and they were slight favourites. And I suppose Kilkenny losing at the quarter-final stage the last 2 years, they played with like a level of aggression. They played angry, like they were very motivated. They didn't want to lose at that stage again. So, like they definitely, to me, they won the first half in terms of what they did, and they went about their business really well. They were absolutely like harassing. They were like in the tackle. There was 2, 3, 4 Kilkenny players surrounding the ball. But, I don't think anybody could have called it. Nobody, because extra time could have gone to either team. And I think like even the penalty, should it have been a goal? Should the ref have allowed advantage? Pulling it back, and then Aoife Prendergast possibly being slightly injured, taking it.
Yeah.
They're all what ifs,
Yeah, they're all,
as we saw in the hurling semi-final. The what ifs.
Oh, stop. I know.
That happens in sport.
I don't know if you thought this now, Anna, but I think Kilkenny, they're not obviously as strong as they were. Maybe they're going through this famous word transitional phase, but I just felt a little bit before the end of the game that there was a lot of mistakes. Not even mistakes, probably habits more so than anything else. Roll lifting the ball when it should have been jabbed, changing of the hands, just basic skills. And this just wasn't from one or two. There was a few, and I thought, geez, that's not typical Kilkenny hurling or camogie,
Yeah, so, though as well, when you're fatigued and you're that little bit tired, those unforced errors happen, and you'll make the wrong decision in that moment. And I think, there definitely was different personnel in the Kilkenny side. Like I'd listened to a podcast last week, and Tommy Shefflin was even saying that the starting 15 wasn't as consistent as he'd like it to be. But that was purely because the girls weren't producing consistent performances to allow the same 15 to take his pitch game after game. And I thought that was very honest of him to say. And, whereas Tipp definitely had a much more settled 15 coming into it. And I don't know what you think, but as a player, I much preferred playing on a team where even before the team was named, you kind of knew 13 out of the 15. Yeah. You kind of knew who was going to be where, because when you were thinking, okay, I'm wing back, this person's going to be wing forward, she's going to be corner, this one's going to be behind me. If you don't know on any given day when you're going out what the lineup is going to be, I do think it creates a little bit of unrest.
Of course it does.
And I think that probably caught Kilkenny at times when they didn't have that consistency in their play. Whereas while it took Tipp a good bit of time to get up to the pace of the game in terms of the intensity, when they kind of did then the set, they were more settled, I think, going into the home straight.
Call it between Galway and Tipp. Like Galway to me now they're starting to settle. I suppose they got wrote off last year, and Galway aren't a team that you write off. They really have. I suppose everybody has Cork so far up now, but I'd be still thinking, I'm not looking to the final at all yet, but this is going to be a seriously tough match, and Galway will be lucky to come out against Tipperary, because Tipperary are kind of on the up a little bit now. They'll have that bit more confidence. It's going to be a tough one, but I think Niamh Mallon is flying it at the moment for Galway, and Carrie Dolan with the freeze. Are they very over reliant on freeze place balls?
If I like Dennis Kelly, if I were him with the Tipp management, I would be talking and focusing this week and next week about cutting down your freeze, the freeze that you concede. Because if you have somebody like Carrie Dolan and freeze who can slot them over anywhere really inside the 60-yard line, you really need to be focusing on discipline. You need to be looking at the referee, looking at their style of refereeing. What is it that they do? How do they like to ref the game? Do they let things go? Do they not? Because, I remember even with Cork, we would have always tried to keep our frees conceded under 10. Because if you're going
so that's your tricks.
But it's double digits. Do you know what I mean? If you're going into then you're given a free.
Is that per half now? Is that per half?
No, that's for you. Usually that would be you. I'd say 10 per half. But we
my shins still aren't right after you.
that was a thing though. We always tried to keep and we'd be as back as a defence, but even as an entire team, if we were going over that 10, and I think Tipperary would have to be really careful of that against the likes of Kerry.
Yeah.
Like I think like Galway have obviously last year in the All-Ireland semi-final, like Tipperary felt so hurt losing to Galway by the point. Like I can remember, I was there, the devastation on their faces. Like they dropped to their knees after that full-time whistle because they thought they were so close to getting back into an All-Ireland final since 2006. That was the last time Tipperary were in All-Ireland final, and they haven't won since 2004. I made my debut against that team in 2004, and that was their last All-Ireland that they won. And like they beat Galway in the league final last year, and they won the league. So they're, between Tipp and Galway, like there's nothing in any given day.
It's hard to call.
Like I think, like I suppose, look, this is just for me, and you might know better than I do. I suppose really you have to have a full outfit of players if you're really looking to capitalise and not just get into an All-Ireland, but winning. And I think like with Tipperary, they obviously have like the likes of Mary Ryan, Caught Devan, Nicole Walsh. They're not in the setup. They got some injuries this year as well. At the start of the year, they had 2 ACLs out. So, when you're missing key personnel, especially experienced players, when it gets down to like the likes of semi-finals, that can be really important. Those girls that were just, even on the bus, in the dressing room, and the warm-up, not just in the match, just, yourself, like just the people that will just set the tone, keep things calm.
Yeah.
And like, from a Galway perspective, I don't know, like I think it's so unfortunate, especially with Sarsfields being so prominent in the club scene, Club All-Ireland champions, not seeing the McGraths playing. Like, they're such a talent. I mean, there's about 40 of them there.
There's 6 sisters.
Yeah, like, I do think that, and like that, even Niamh McGrath, am I right in saying, didn't she get the Club Player of the Year?
Yeah, she got Club Player of the Year this year.
So that's one of the best players in the country that is not available to you. Now, I don't know what it is or why, or why they decide.
Yeah, and there's no point in me saying what's what, but I know that the girls...
when you don't have that talent...
They just aren't happy in there,
Yeah, but when you don't have that talent, I suppose, available to you, Galway are kind of going in. Now, they obviously have still excellent players and very experienced and, deserve every credit coming to them. But just, you'd be wondering if they had those extra players available to them, what outfit could they be?
Yeah, like, honest to God, Sarsfields are so strong at the minute that I'd put them up against a county team. And I think the fact that, and we've gone down this road before, and I don't want to keep harping on about it, but she got Club Player of the Year, like she should be there, but she wasn't asked in. Now, I know her sisters were asked in, but they've decided to not go in. And maybe that's as a kind of
I think for a county, when you have such availability of talent, and as I said, that's coming from a complete neutral, not having a clue. And to be honest, from a Cork perspective, it's probably a good thing that they're not involved with Galway. But I just think going into Tipperary, they probably could use every player, particularly up front, goal threats. Like that's something that I think both Tipp and Galway definitely, if they're in an All-Ireland final, you'd be saying, if you were a neutral observing, that it's most likely going to be Cork. And that's not a disrespect to Waterford. That's just Cork have been on fire this year. I think any team at the moment coming up against them in the semi-final will probably be going in as underdogs because of their form to date. So, if you were saying a Cork, and like Cork's goal threat at the moment, you're into the high teens in terms of the goals that they're capable of getting. So whatever team...
And do you think, Anna, that because the Cork are that, because they have a totally settled team, there's no one coming, like, I think they've been fairly lucky with injuries. The girls are really settling into their positions. Do you think that the lack of major competitive games for them, because like the championship is so, I think the gap is getting bigger. I don't know what we're going to do.
Ursula Jacob was talking about that actually when we were doing the Sunday game coverage last weekend. She was just saying that she would worry about some of the scores that were racked up against certain counties. I mean, like, even though that they're in senior championship, and obviously there's a privilege that comes from playing senior camogie, I don't know if it'll do them any favours, particularly the younger players in those squads. That'd be 7-28 to lose, to have a score like that against you in championship. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the team that's scoring it, and it doesn't help the team that it's against. So I don't know, like, for me, ultimately, camogie, it's the looking at how we can entice as many people as possible to play the game, to go to the
Yeah.
game, and to watch the game. So you have to make as many games as possible as entertaining and as exciting. So I would really hope that there will be a review being done at the end of this year. And I don't have the answer, but I do hope that they will get people into a room that are, you know, I suppose at the epicenter of counties throughout the country that are day in, day out, that might have experience or answers as to why this might be the case, where there's certain games that are so one-sided, you know, because it's not enough to have 2 or 3 interesting games. And you're right, like Cork this year haven't had a whole pile of challenge up until now. Now they're going to get it in the semi-final and they're going to get the final. And maybe that might be a stumbling block for them because they haven't really tested out their team because they have been racking up such huge scores.
And they had a break, did a bit of a break.
Well, they've been averaging over 20 points a game, ignoring goals. That's huge for a Camogie. If you're going into and actually, when I was looking at the Galway and Cork U23, which we'll talk about in a second, one of the things that I was most impressed by was, from a Cork perspective, their ability to score, you know, good high scorings. You know, like some of them 319, like another one there, like you're talking 313. Like they're good scorings to be racking up. So like I think definitely that's something that Cork have done to date. Whether or not that will continue in the rest of the championship, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, they've such a running game. I always say Cork have a running game. They've a give and go kind of. Yeah. Sometimes they give you a fright when you're watching the games. You know the way you'd be watching a game as a neutral, and they live on the edge with the hand pass and coming out and stuff. But they have it.
In fairness to Tipperary, one of the things that I was most impressed by them. Now it didn't come off a lot of the time because they overcooked the last pass. They took the eye off the ball or lost concentration at the very last second. But in the last 15 minutes, the first half, when Tipp started to get up to the pace of the game, when they decided to go direct, right down the centre, and when they actually drew the player and used the support player to really good effect, they were excellent. They're like they really did. They looked like what Cork were doing for quite a while, and particularly in the All-Ireland last year when Cork won, drawing the player, waiting to the very last second and popping the ball off. Like it was excellent to watch, and it was only that they didn't capitalise on it. If they worked on that a bit more against Galway, I think that could cause Galway problems going down the centre.
So what are you saying, Geary? Is it Galway or Tipp?
I'm gonna tell the Galway woman that you're. Like, to be honest, I actually don't, like, I haven't seen enough of Galway either to really know where they're at. Like, that's the one thing I suppose about, like, you see the scores, and I mean, look, it was a crunch game for Galway even to get to top the group. Like, it all came down to whether or not they were going to be able to win that last group game or not to get into the semi-final. They'll be, I suppose, happy that maybe they're starting to peak at the right time.
Yeah, I think
everyone is talking about Cork, so maybe they'll feel, you know, that they have, I suppose, a chance now to show that actually they want to get back into the All-Ireland final and, you know, avenge last year and have another crack at it. But, like, geez, if I was in a Tipperary dressing room, though, losing an All-Ireland semi-final by a point to a team that you're now playing again, oh, God, like, that's what more motivation.
It's a good catalyst for them, for sure. Yeah. Like, Galway have settled, you know, very well in the backs. They're very kind of settled in the backs. You know, Emma Hillibert is back there now this year. You know, we were kind of tying between Anya Kane and kind of Ciara Hickey. We're going in and out. Ciara Hickey has settled lovely in the wing back position as well. And of course, Galway have lost, you know, Anya Kane to a cruciate as well. So, you know, and she was a starter, you know, so that probably didn't do them any good either.
Yeah. And they've learned an awful lot. Like when that league final performance against Cork a few months ago, to be honest, it was probably a Galway I hadn't seen in a long time. Like, you know, they lost rucks, they were second to the ball. They just, the things that Galway normally do to make them like one of the top teams in the country, I just didn't see it. Now, I'm sure, you know, it was early days and was early in the season too, and they have learned a lot. Yeah, it just did. I mean, Cork didn't even look like they were in top gear, and they looked in control the whole way through. So, you know, that will again, I'm sure. But they've come a long way since, and like often the league, you only learn so much from the league. But like, I think it's going to be a really, it has the potential to go to a draw in extra time. I genuinely think that will Galway and Tipperary. I think they have the potential. Both teams have the potential to win it. I think it's going to come down to like what team can have more players firing at the same time on the same day. you
on
know.
the same day. It's going to be a cracker. It will be a good one.
I think it will. And like, again, the Waterford Cork, it's not to take from Waterford. I just think they're up against it with Cork, you know, and anybody will say that because Cork's form to date has been so good. You know, Waterford have a lot of things that they need to rectify going in to the semi-final.
Will Waterford be like, obviously from the All-Ireland final before, you know, they didn't show up at all. You know, it was unfortunate for them. Is that enough to drive them on? Possibly not. It's kind of unfortunate for them that they're meeting Cork.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think anybody wanted to meet Cork in a semi-final. I really don't. Like, because, you know, I think any team at the moment, the fear, there's a psychological fear kind of that can come sometimes with playing a team that has been so dominant in championship so far. Now, sometimes complacency can set in, but just knowing those players, they're so set on, and they're not even talking about 3 in a row. I'm saying 3 in a row, but I know that those girls, like, there's been plenty of players down to the years where Cork have tried to go for a 3 in a row and tried and failed. So I think like that is kind of, it's almost like the dangling carrot that is not to the forefront of their minds, but definitely somewhere at the back. You know what I mean? To do
there
3
isn't
in a
much
row
talk about it.
No, they're not. And definitely within Cork and within the Cork camp, it's not even been mentioned. But it
probably
is
because
special.
it's semi-final stages.
Well, I remember losing in 2007. We lost in 2007 to Wexford. And, you know, it was a double blow. It was hard enough to lose the All-Ireland final, but then to lose as well the 3 in a row was, you know, it was tough.
Yeah,
like, so,
double whammy.
Yeah, it definitely is. But now,
you were all right. You got the 2 in a row.
You're right.
Now, what's going to happen with the 23? I know you're in a panic now to get. So, what do you think of the whole under 23 thing in general? Did Cork get stung for 3 points for using too many substitutes?
Yeah,
what's going on?
So back with the under 23s with Cork, like just to show you kind of the caliber of players that they have now coming through for the under 23, right? So back in 2020, Cork were going for 3 in a row. Now COVID got in the way of that and it didn't finish, but then they won in 2022 and 2023 as well in the minor. So all of those girls that were once minor a few years ago are obviously now there for the under 23. So they have an incredible pedigree of girls to choose from, which is brilliant. Like, the jury is still out for me. I can understand the merits of the under-23 championship. I really can. I know that you're still keeping girls to you know, to a higher level. I suppose like when you're losing the intermediate team though, to me it's like, well, what happens after 23? If those girls aren't quite still, haven't caught the attention of the senior management yet.
That's it then.
What happens then? You know, and I think that's, so I mean, there was obviously merit because after minor then, if you don't have the under-23s, if those girls aren't caught by the intermediate, there's these lull periods, you know what I mean? And it is very hard because when you're trying to keep girls in camogie, you know, and there's still quite a gap between minor and under-23 as well.
Yeah, it's still 5 years.
Do you lose them from the time that they're minors to the time they're actually maybe making the squads of the under-23s? Because 5 years is a big difference. So like definitely, I mean, other counties that are in the intermediate championship, from a neutral, taking my Cork hat off for a second.
Yeah.
It is great to see other counties now getting into the All-Ireland finals, intermediate in the league and the championship. So you're not seeing the Kilkennys and the Galways and the Corks. So from
it's nice to see.
Point of view, Aoife, it's great because it widens the net. It gives more, I suppose, if you're getting into an All-Ireland final as a county, it creates more excitement within that county. And you see Wimbledon when people are walking down the roads then with their tennis rackets. You know, it generates a bit of excitement, which camogie does the same when your county's in an All-Ireland final.
That's exactly it.
That's good. But with my Cork hat on, us losing the intermediate team is big because often the intermediate team was a feeder squad for the senior. And when you look at even some of the current senior camogie team and panel, a lot of those girls, well, definitely a good chunk of them came through intermediate at one time or another. So, you know,
there's pros and cons, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And look, it's great. Like Galway and Cork in the under-23s, first time ever, the first title up for grabs. You know, it is.
Yeah, it's nice to be the first.
And it's great that it's in the Gaelic grounds tomorrow. I know at 2:00, and hopefully people in the sunshine, you know, what better to do than you're not. It's tough to play a game in the heat, but it's lovely to watch.
Lovely to watch. So, and tomorrow's the day to get kids out there. Like we're trying to get bums on seats.
Up an All-Ireland final and to support your teams, like it's very special. And like I would have to say, like looking at some of the spread of Cork scorers in some of the games, like I said to you a while ago, they have racked up some brilliant scores. 3-13 in the semi-final against Tipp. They had 3-19. They hammered Kilkenny in the opening round. They scored 3-19. So like these are excellent scores for them to be getting up. And the big thing for me with Cork is they haven't conceded a goal in the championship so far.
Wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm worried about, because I know you've got some good potent forwards there in Galway. Now,
yeah, there's Eva Joyce now from Salthill. Eva Joyce from Salthill. Laura Kelly.
Yeah, Laura Kelly.
Who else had it?
Wasn't she in the semi?
Neve Mack. Cora Kenny. There's a few good ones from Galway. I think it'll be a cracker tomorrow. Now, again, Cork have been very, they've been way ahead of most. Kind of in the under-23 championship with scores wise, but that'll be another cracker tomorrow. We just ask the people get out and support their team.
And I think an All-Ireland final takes on a life of its own. Form kind of goes out the window, because an early goal or an early yellow card or something can really throw a team, and those things can happen. So like you'd have to say Cork are the favourites going into it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Of course, yeah.
Come here, we'll take the favourites tag whenever we can, because we don't get them all the time.
So the matches tomorrow, obviously the under-23, the semi-finals next week. It's a great couple of weeks now. We're down to the business end of things, and
it's kind of pity though that it's happened so thick and fast. I'd love it if it was extended out, like hurling, camogie, the whole lot.
I know, but you know what I'm looking forward to? I am looking forward to all the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that commented on the Scott Gate, that backed everybody up and backed us all up, and commented and wanted to support camogie and support us and support whoever, that they now come and support the camogie matches. Because
I would say I was slightly disappointed with Tipp and Kilkenny.
So was I.
Final. I'm like, if you're coming up the road if you're coming in, and this is, and a lot of those girls come from clubs that have hurlers playing with the lads teams.
And some of the sisters.
Like, look at Mairead Deveston. Like, Mairead Deveston is a cousin to the three McGrath brothers. So, like, there's so many connections in clubs, the length and breadth of hurling counties right throughout Ireland. So, like, if it was a minor match on, would they have been going in? Is it because it's, so my attitude is, sport is sport. And if you're a proud county for your sport, it doesn't matter who's playing. You should be wanting to support them, and I think that going forward now in the Nolan Park for the semi-finals, the same thing. You mightn't necessarily be mad into camogie, but you might have a daughter that you never know might be on one of those inter-county teams in years to come, or a niece, or your neighbour. So bring them. Like some of my best memories down through the years were when I was going up on the train to the All-Ireland finals and Cork playing. And back then, I didn't really, I liked camogie. I never thought for a second I'd actually play with Cork. But I was just going up for the day out. And it was a great day. Like, there were some of the best memories I ever have. So, like, it's a great thing for people to do, especially if you're looking to distract your kids for a day. Yes. Boys and girls. Bring them.
Go to Limerick tomorrow.
Yeah, bring them to the games.
And in the intermediate, I'm going to leave you now, Anna, because I know you're up to your eyes as well. And I'm cut. Antrim and Offaly are playing tomorrow at 1. Kerry and Down are playing at 3. And I think
that's what I'm saying. To see this, look at all those 4 teams now. There's no Cork, there's no Galway, there's no Kilkenny, because they're not there anymore. Yeah. So it does help other counties. It's something to play for, and that's not a disrespect to them that before. No. But it's just when the dominant counties were there, it was that bit harder for these teams to get their day in the sun. And now 4 teams have it. Like Offaly are playing excellent, Antrim the same. Like they'll be 2 very hotly tested semi-finals, and I think it's actually going to be really hard to call who's going to be in the. Antrim and Offaly are probably arguably the form teams, and they're both meeting each other now in the semi-final.
Someone has to go.
So, like it would have been, I think if that had been the All-Ireland final, God, it would have been very hard to call. But, Kerry always, you can't write them off and down the same. No. So we've got some great teams left in the championships this year.
It's all to play for, isn't it? It's all to play for. But I just want to wish Liam Gordon, he's obviously from Galway, and I know obviously this is camogie related, but he's a good friend of ours, Liam Gordon. He's reffing the All-Ireland hurling final, he was with us with ATU when we won the college this year, and just want to wish him the best of luck. And to Killian tomorrow, who's done all the games on the Camogie YouTube channel as well. So all of those games will be on the YouTube channel. So listen, Anna, thanks a million. I know it was fast and furious today.